Samsung goes all in on AI with its latest smartphone. Netflix making some huge plays with wrestling, some momentous nominations for this year's Oscars, an alternative to Pokemon is a massive hit, Indiana Jones returns in a new video game, Apple's VR headset gets a shaky start, and the days of 3DS and Wii U Online are numbered. This and a whole lot more taking over the headlines of the past week. I'm Jason Grewal, and this is The Fresh Wire. Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another episode of The Fresh Wire with the one and only Jason Grewal. Hope you have all been doing well. Hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, evening, day, or night, wherever you are, however you live. I appreciate you tuning in. So, quite a bit actually happened in the past week. As always, I'm trying to be efficient and, cover what matters most, at least to me, in my opinion. But, of course, if some very reputable, well-beloved person passes away, I always have to start with that. And unfortunately, that did happen very recently. So I'll just start with that. CBS News journalist Charles Osgood, who held CBS Sunday Morning for more than 2 decades, passed away Tuesday at 91 years of age after a period of time with dementia, according to CBS News. Between 1971 and 2017, he held a very well-known, very well-regarded radio news segment, The Osgood File. And, of course, he spent 45 years at CBS News. Sunday Morning, thanks to him, reaching some of its highest ratings in 3 decades, earning a Daytime Emmy as Outstanding Morning Program on 3 different occasions. So he will understandably be very, very missed. He's survived by his wife of 50 years, 5 children, a sister, and a brother. I actually, growing up, every now and then I would watch CBS Sunday Morning because that's what my parents did every Sunday morning for a very, very long time. So, in a way, it was part of my childhood a little bit, so he will be deeply missed. In 2016, when he did retire around that time, Jane Pauley took over CBS Sunday Morning after Osgood stepped away, and as far as I know, she's been very well received. A good successor for CBS Sunday Morning. So, yeah, he will be deeply missed, and it's very sad. All right, so big news across the board, entertainment, technology, video games. Actually a pretty eventful week. It seems like everyone that had kind of a bit of a winter break, sort of say, for the past few weeks, finally all came together and decided to announce something huge. So this might be a big episode. And one thing that really impacted me that I have to start with because of how ironic it happened involves WWE, wrestling, and Netflix, which I just canceled not too long ago, and I don't regret it, at least not yet. Monday Night Raw is now heading to Netflix. By the way, I did actually completely forgot to say this. 10:57 p.m. I'm recording this, January 23rd, 2024. Monday Night Raw, which is one of the 3 weekly WWE showings, one on Friday that's been on Fox, one on Monday, Monday Night Raw, and one on Tuesday is WWE NXT, which shows the more up-and-coming wrestlers that are part of the WWE universe, as some would say. Well, as the contracts for where these big showings play is coming to an end, a big opportunity was put out there for WWE. As far as I know, Friday Night SmackDown is coming to USA, an NBC Universal channel, and I'm not sure about NXT. I don't specifically remember NXT. I don't know if that's been decided yet. But Monday Night Raw had to move from USA, it seems, and it was unknown where it was going. A lot of people were in talks for where it would go, and it looks like it's heading to Netflix, which is a big surprise considering it's always been on some sort of TV channel, and Netflix, as they're trying to get into live sports, well, they just got another one. It's a big shakeup. that will have the flagship weekly live pro wrestling show begin airing exclusively on the streaming giant beginning January next year, marking the first time in 3 decades that Raw did not air a new episode on a linear television network. A very big commitment by the streamer in terms of its value. $500 million a year for 10 years. A whopping $5 billion, with the option for Netflix to opt out after 5 years and to extend it for an additional 10 years. That's insane. WWE's current 5-year deal for U.S. rights to Raw with NBC Universal, for comparison, has been about $250 to $260 million per year. I'll say how crazy it all is for the value of this in just a moment, but this is a huge deal. A lot of people come around to watching WWE because of its value, because of how long it's been around, because of its big primetime showings, every month or two that have recently been airing on Peacock, owned by NBC Universal. It's a very huge situation as more sports move to live streaming, including recently Peacock airing an NFL playoff game between the Kansas City Chiefs and Miami Dolphins. That racked up 23 million viewers who watched it all on either Peacock or on their local NBC station if the Chiefs or Dolphins were your home team. So, huge deal. And NXT, by the way, is moving to the CW. That actually was announced previously. So now we know all three. SmackDown going to USA, NXT going to the CW, and now Monday Night Raw going to Netflix. So, huge deal. Very big situation. All three are going on different stations now. Actually, Netflix isn't a station, but it's got a lot building up that it almost might as well be. You got a crazy on-demand service, no longer the DVD service. Now you're getting live sports. It's starting to build up to be something more than what it used to be for a very long time. And you can kind of tell, before I continue, of course, I do want to say a little more on WWE. Dwayne Johnson, he's really back in WWE, even though he's more so an actor nowadays. He's now been named a board member for the parent company of WWE, TKO Group, and has been given full ownership of the Rock trademark. I, for some reason, thought that was always his shtick, but it looks like it is now. He's set to receive, according to an SEC filing, just over $30 million in TKO stock. He received, also, it says he received $491,000 in royalty payments from WWE last year. And, yeah, he has now gained ownership of the trademark name The Rock as part of the intellectual assignment agreement. So he's back in action. He's fully on board, and big deal for him. Nothing but respect. Back on the Netflix thing, as giveth and taketh. Netflix announcing a huge deal with WWE that's going to be put into effect a year from now. However, Netflix decided to screw over people just one last time until they do it again, and it is now expected that Netflix will be phasing out their cheapest no advertisement plan. So Netflix has a bunch of different options. They have a cheaper plan that has that's their lowest quality. Some shows don't even pop up and it's ads, but it is the cheapest plan. And then they have an iteration of it that has no ads and therefore some content as well. But otherwise, I think they're the same in terms of resolution, availability, 720p, 1080p, and the amount of streams that can be open at once. Those sort of things, change up the tiers. There's basic, premium. There's multiple tiers. 4 total, and it is going down to 3. That cheapest no ads tier, the basic one, that was $11.99 a month, is no more. Last year, it stopped being offered to new subscribers in markets including the U.S., Canada, and UK. Along that time, the price of the plan went up $2 to $11.99, and for comparison, the ad-supported plan is $6.99 a month, less than half the price of now the next tier, the standard plan. That is $15.49 a month. Clearly, Netflix wants people to get onto that ad-supported plan. It's been a huge success for Hulu. Soon, Amazon is set to add ads to their Prime Video service, unless you want to pay, I think, $2.99 or more. That's starting January 29th. A big day if you create advertisements that play in between, otherwise known as what's been the case for over half a century with linear TV, but now it's taking over in streaming. For better, no, for worse, in my opinion. I hate ads. I hate having to deal with them, but I understand how important they are to keep businesses afloat, keep them successful. How much more easier it is to get people watching content if it's free, or much cheaper as long as they deal with a few ads. I mean, we have for most of our lives before streaming services, linear TV and whatnot. So, yeah, not too surprising, but of course, disappointing. And as they reduce options for people, they put a $5 billion commitment to WWE because people that have Netflix totally got it exclusively for sports and very little else. It's not great. Little fun little topic. Mr. Beast, kids' favorite content creator online, seems to be nearing a deal for a TV show on Amazon's Prime Video. Speaking of Prime Video, just a little bit. Details are not known. I'm reading this from an article on Variety, great source. The idea is that a Mr. Beast hosted show on Prime Video would follow the format of his viral YouTube challenges, including doling out large cash prizes. And that is completely understandable. Amazon declined to comment, and representatives for Mr. Beast did not respond to requests for comment by Variety. They were first reported by Puck, citing a source as pegging the deal at potentially near $100 million. That's a lot of moolah. Recently, I also checked out that Mr. Beast, also known as Jimmy Donaldson, put out one of his videos. I don't know if it was a new video or just like something that was already on YouTube. He put it on x/twitter.com just to see how much ad revenue he would make from it, and it made an astonishing $260,000 or something like that. I read, which even I think he pointed out that it seemed a bit inflated due to how advertisers were dealing with the Mr. Beast video, knowing it would get so many views and knowing it was such a unique opportunity for x/twitter.com advertisers. And I remember reading, someone replied to the fact that the video made so much, and someone said like they got like 15 million impressions when I think he got like 100 million, and they made like $16 or $60. So it's pretty clear that advertisers went all in, maximizing their cost to get onto the Mr. Beast video. Therefore, he made that much more. So rather than it being an experiment, it really should have been, a no-brainer. And of course, there's always the obvious scenario that Elon Musk went all in and incentivized advertisers secretly to pump their ads even more on those videos. Not to the point where it's an ad every 5 seconds, but rather you put $5, you put $100 into an ad to play on this, and we'll actually pay you $500, something like that. Or we'll actually make it free. You get much more bang for your buck. I don't know. It's I wouldn't be surprised. Or if just Elon Musk just added his own money into the ad revenue that Mr. Beast got. That also would not surprise me, even though he's got to make money after the crazy purchase of Twitter, RIP Twitter. Last entertainment-based thing is just a tease at something that's big and upcoming. Oscar nominations were released, with Oppenheimer, great movie, dominating with 13 nominations. That's more than 12. It was followed closely behind Poor Things, a feminist fantasy set in a steampunk world of mutants and male chauvinist pigs, which earned 11 nominations. Killers of the Flower Moon, which was a great Martin Scorsese film, received 10 nominations. And Barbie, which was the biggest box office hit last year, earned 8. However, a big snub with that is Greta Gerwig, the film's director, and Margot Robbie, its star and producer, were both shut out and did not get a nomination themselves. Ryan Gosling, who played Ken, did. I think I read somewhere he made a statement on how, it's disappointing that he got it and that, without Barbie, Ken's nothing, something like that. So, he's obviously disappointed, and I would be too. Martin Scorsese made history at age 81, becoming the oldest directing nominee. And as he'll be facing off against Christopher Nolan with Oppenheimer, I will be very curious to see who wins that. The 96th Academy Awards. This was all announced earlier today. For the fourth time, late night star Jimmy Kimmel will host. I assume that means it'll be on ABC. And it is set to be held Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday, March 10th in Los Angeles. So I'm pretty excited. There's been quite a bit of controversy with the Oscars, but I at least try every now and then to watch it whenever I can, if it's live and I'm free. Sundays, I've been working, so 7 p.m., I think I will still be able to try to watch it anyway. Pretty excited. I hope Oppenheimer wins big. Same with Barbie. And Killers of the Flower Moon, all great films. And yeah, so that's entertainment. Now let's jump into the big stuff, the big boy stuff, as some would say, with tech. And we're going to start off big. Huge reveal happened last week. The brand new Samsung Galaxy S24 lineup. Smartphones, Android smartphones made by Samsung. And a lot of rumors were attached to these. And one big one was all in on AI. So the specs are, nothing special. They're just a step up. Improvements here or there. Camera is actually not getting a huge improvement. The telephoto lens went from 10 megapixel 10x zoom, I think it was 10x, to 50 megapixel 5x zoom. So it possibly a downgrade, possibly an upgrade. But overall, camera performance was not a noticeable improvement. But it's the big software that matters this time around. With the new processor and everything's been AI-ified like crazy, smartphones are not left out. Infamously, the Google Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro last year are getting some big AI upgrades. A lot of software, but the newer processor helped out with making all of that capable. Now the Galaxy S24 lineup is doing the same thing with a new processor. A lot of AI improvements, moving objects around in photos, summarizing voice recordings. It looks like a lot of impressive stuff. One thing I read is that in some terms of service that they're only free, or some byline, that the AI features will only be free until at least the end of 2025. So the big thing with the S24, other than it's a nicer, higher quality phone that no longer has a curved screen, finally, the big thing is the AI features, and it's a bit disappointing that they're not even confirming if they'll be free or not. Because some of the features, one big thing is being able to write up messages for you in text messaging, and with its newest capability for almost all other phones, it runs off the cloud, its processing, like normal AI has been. But the capability of the S24 is so much better that they were able to run like a smaller model of this message processing, and it is now capable of doing it on device. So I can imagine anything that's not running in the cloud, there's no way they're going to have a restriction in terms of how long you can use it for free. That'd be ridiculous. And as far as I know, the Galaxy S24 and I think the Google Pixel 8 Pro, not sure about the Pixel 8, has this local loading capability. Otherwise, it's got to be through the cloud. And it's pretty cool. Some AI features on phones have been pretty neat, as some would say, but just that free thing to the end of 2025 is pretty annoying. And I don't know. If the big deal is AI, then you really got to show like its capability of local AI processing. If you're going to lock down and make cloud-based AI features a new device exclusive, that sucks. One cool thing is that they think I read somewhere, the Galaxy S24 is going to have 7 years of updates, completely destroying the 4 years, I think, that previous Samsung Galaxy S phones have received. And unlike before, where they went from, I think, 3 to 4 years, where they made it retroactive to a degree, they are not doing it this time. But 7 years of updates is fantastic, and you would hope so, as the Galaxy S24 Ultra also has a higher starting price point. $1,300. Wow. I don't plan to trade my phone in. It has a cracked back anyway. I have the Galaxy S22 Ultra. It's been fantastic since I got it a year and a half ago. and I plan to hold on to it for dear life. If I have to upgrade, I hope it's during a sale, a really, really nice sale for either the S24 Ultra or maybe a floating phone. Sorry, not iPhone anytime soon. Now, here's something for the media server enthusiasts out there, including myself. It involves Plex, but not because of its media server capabilities, but for something you wouldn't expect. But at the same time, maybe a little surprised it hasn't happened yet. Plex is about to launch a store for movies and TV shows. Apparently, you'll be able to start renting or buying movies and TV shows in early February. Executives have said in a statement. They've also said, quote, most studios, unquote, are lined up for the store's launch, plans to complete the catalog soon after. And they'll integrate with Plex features like watch lists. And it's been previously announced in 2020 and last year that there were plans to launch a movie and TV store. More changes coming to Plex down the line include a, quote, pretty major UX refresh, or user interface, unquote, in the works to help support the many people using Plex to watch ad-supported movies and TV shows and fast channels, free ad-supported streaming channels, or free ad-supported television channels. That's fast for you. And they're also planning to add more social features like public profiles later this year. So Plex, what used to be known more so as the all-in-one solution for hosting a media server, you pay a little bit and then you get a bunch more features, hardware decoding, stronger integration with a live TV antenna that you may have hooked up somewhere like a router or the computer host itself. And it seems like ever since then, they've really been pushing all in on its free content where you don't need a media server, where you can just set up Plex like an account and not even have a media server. It used to be you set up Plex for a media server, somewhere where you ripped your Blu-rays or DVDs onto a server using, a Blu-ray disc player or something, which is what I did. I have a few movies and the fantastic Cowboy Bebop, loaded up. I ripped them. Only been playing them just, for archival purposes, but also every now and then to get back into it and watch, because Cowboy Bebop is a fantastic movie, along with the few movies I have physically. So, yeah, I hope this doesn't take away from them continuing to focus on improving their media server or local TV capabilities, including the fact that we still cannot watch unencrypted ATSC 3.0 TV channels due to the fact it does not support the new audio standard. Now, I have a massive rant I would love to talk about with ATSC 3.0 and next-gen TV as a whole. I am absolutely furious, beyond furious, about its current implementation across the country and, the private forces behind it. A lot to talk about, but I'm definitely not going to get into it today. This is going to be a normal, family-friendly-ish episode. Now we are jumping in to video gaming. And I'm going to start with a pretty big surprisement involving a game called Pal World. Pal World, which sold over 5 million copies in its first 3 days of its early access launch, is a bit of a surprise, but it also maybe not. Maybe it shouldn't be. Originally announced in 2021, it's immediately the comparisons with Pokemon were apparent and obvious. A bright, colorful world full of cute monsters. And then come the AK-47s and guns. Midway through the game's trailer back in 2021, it shifts from, these cute monsters that'll help you build your home to shoot the cute monsters and use them as slave labor. So there's a huge storyline. It's, been very hyped up. It's been anticipated. It's got online multiplayer, tutorial, it's open world. And, it's been very, anticipated. And when it released, it was a huge deal. That now, I wanted to mention this because I think I'm actually going to possibly check it out. It's currently the most played game on Steam, a video game social platform to buy games and try them out on PC. It actually beat, as far as I know, the record for most amount of players. In terms of beating Counter-Strike, it had well over 1 million A million players at once. It's insane. As far as I know, it's part of Xbox Game Pass. So if you have like a normal everyday Xbox that can play Power World along with a PC, if you have that tier of Xbox Game Pass, you can already play it right now for free. Some big accusations for Power World have included AI use here or there, and also the obvious possible plagiarism involving Pokemon itself. Some people took screenshots of some of the monsters, cute little monsters in Power World, and compared them to Pokemon. And admittedly, some of them do look pretty like for like, but at the same time, because of how many Pokemon exist, I think it's like 1,000 now, or if not over 1,000. It's nearly impossible to make something unique. I mean, that's the challenge Pokemon designers have to deal with now. Over 1,000 of them, you can't be too, similar to what's already been released. Pretty scary stuff. But they get paid so much more than I ever will, so I really care about that. Also helps that it's a dry January in terms of video game releases. Only two big releases have happened this month: Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which has been well received, and Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, a Yakuza game that's also been very well received. And yeah, I mean, I hope this game continues to succeed. It's pretty obvious that it's so popular because people have wanted a Pokemon like that's actually really good, that's really high quality, that's original, it's creative, and during a time where very few people have anything to work with, I can imagine why this game is as popular as it is, and I hope it continues to thrive and succeed. Finally, letting Game Freak and the people at Nintendo know people want more out of Pokemon. Please. And, it also opens the door for others to step in and make something that's also Pokemon-like. But hopefully not to the point where it's copyright infringement and plagiarism. That would suck. A little more on Nintendo before the big Nintendo news I've got. The Nintendo 3DS, which was, one of the greatest video game handhelds to release in the modern era, was released early 2011, and with the days of online capability for the 3DS and Wii U numbered, it's funny that after all this time, Limited Run Games has finally given out their final 3DS release, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Very, very well received WayForward title. Limited quantities available. It'll be on sale January 26th. And someone that works at Limited Run Games has posted on xclassshore.com, quote, "This was literally the last game produced on the US 3DS production line, with our cartridge order managing to get to Nintendo at the absolute last possible second. We had to place it through Rising Star in order to make it happen." Also saying, John Fairhurst, by the way, also saying, quote, "We were originally trying to get other 3DS games through with WayForward, but cartridge production ended sooner than any of us anticipated. We ended up pivoting to this one." So it looks like there were plans for more WayForward titles that were on 3DS. Maybe not physically, but this is their opportunity. And no, that's not happening. But there you go. The final 3DS game, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, a re-release physically from a 2011 handheld. I gotta say, well done. 13 years almost. Crazy, crazy stuff. But yeah, that's how impressive it's been for the 3DS, and nowhere near as much for the Wii U. But now the date has been set for when Nintendo will shut down online services for Nintendo 3DS and Wii U software. It is April 8th at April 8th, 2024, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and for Japan, it'll be the morning of April 9th at 9 a.m. So if you've been using one of these systems online and you may have some sort of an unused eShop balance, now this is your absolute last chance. The support page warning users, if you have an unused eShop balance tied to a Nintendo Network ID, you have until March 11th at 10 p.m. Pacific to link the wallet with a Nintendo account so those funds can be used to buy items for use with the Nintendo Switch. Even if you don't have a Switch, you can still create an account and merge the funds. Now, there are some, more things to keep in mind. Street Pass, Pokemon Bank, and Poke Transporter will continue to work for anyone still using those. Also a little bit of sales context. The Wii U was one of the worst performing consoles for Nintendo ever. Only about 13 million sales. 3DS racking up 75 million from its launch in 2011, continuing through its discontinuation almost a decade later. So now, as Nintendo said last fall, even with the online service shutdown, for the foreseeable future, it will still be possible to update data, and re-download purchase software and downloadable content from Nintendo eShop. So if you purchase something, unquote. So if you purchase something on the Nintendo eShop, you can still be able to re-download it, and it just shows all this content is still on their servers and will be for a very long time. I think the same applies for the Nintendo Wii with WiiWare. I think it's still possible, I might be wrong, to download content that you've purchased from the Nintendo Wii. I think. I might be wrong on that. But if not, then I think it might be that you can still download, I think, the Skyward Sword update channel, because there was like a really bad save data bug with Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. So I think you can still download that. Otherwise, yeah, nothing there. Looks like very similar situation, except even more locked down, because that wasn't necessary. You could just now download updates for games, and sometimes those games may need updates like modern AAA titles do now. So I am not surprised that you'll still be able to do it, whether it's on the 3DS or Wii U. So you don't have to, at least not yet, go ahead and open every game that you can on your 3DS or Wii U just to make sure there's no update available. I would still recommend doing that, though, just in case, something involving an online server connection happens that maybe improves the game in a way. I don't know. Don't want to take any risks. Another thing that was a big risk for Blizzard was Overwatch esports, and while it was successful for a hot minute, as some would say, it eventually shut down Overwatch League, and now it's coming back in some form called the Overwatch Champions Series, a new open tournament system produced by Savvy Games Group-owned Faceit. So a bit more of a third-party integration than before, where it was very, very first-party, but a lot of ads and sponsors. Now, this is the new premier international competitive circuit open to players across North America, Europe, Middle East, and North Africa and Asia. It'll have an open format as opposed to the franchise structure of the OWL, Overwatch League. People in eligible regions can form their own teams, compete in open qualifiers, working their way up to regional tournaments and to two live events. One hosted by DreamHack Stockholm, and another in the summer hosted by DreamHack Dallas, Texas. So, yeah, pretty exciting stuff, because it kind of shows that Overwatch esports is still a thing, and a lot of partnerships this time around, so I guess it's more sustainable for Blizzard, now owned by Microsoft, to run this, partnering with the ESL Faceit Group, an esports tournament organizer based in London and owned by Savvy Games Group, the gaming-focused portion of the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. Okay, some might be scared by that statement. It will make me question it, I guess, just a tiny bit then, with everything I know about everything. Last year, a veteran esports journalist, Jacob Wolf, reported Activision Blizzard was working with a Saudi-owned company to run Overwatch esports after the dissolution of the league. We don't know yet where fans will be able to watch the WCS, Overwatch Champions Series. Previously, it was a mixture. It was at first Twitch, then their big YouTube partnerships. It was on YouTube for a while. Some were still on Twitch for some reason, at least at the end. Blizzard did not say where it will be this time. Hey, who knows? It could be Kick. Big partnership, make a lot of money. Now that they're owned by Microsoft, I don't see that happening. It'll be on Mixer. They'll bring back Mixer, if anyone remembers that. Live streaming service that tried to compete with Twitch, YouTube, and ended up only competing with Facebook. Yikes. For context, I actually streamed on Mixer just to check things out. I infamously made a 24/7 Super Smash Bros. Live stream of just random people playing across the world. It was a built-in feature into the game. But news on where fans will be able to watch it will be shared later. Hopefully the news is shared soon, as open qualifiers in the Asia region begin next month, and the North American and EMEA regions start in March. Will I try to join this? I'm a huge esports player. I've gotten well over 1,000 hours in the game. I still play from time to time. Got my mouse and keyboard at the ready. Will I join? I am undecided. The team, I think, can have up to 8 players. Some backups just in case. Teams of 5. Maybe I'll join. Maybe I won't. I need to find out if I even know anyone that's willing to play with. In terms of into this game, I don't even know what the prizes are, what the rewards will be. I have a full-time job, so backing out of that, being able to work around that will also be a challenge. But we'll see. We will see. What we are also seeing, if you're into NVIDIA, big GPU manufacturer, they've been working on something called NVIDIA RTX Remix with a beta that's available now for modders to try, bringing modern graphics to older games. It allows modders to upgrade textures and lighting in older titles. Community modders did this earlier with Valve's famously made Half-Life 2 title, realistic-looking head crabs and much better-looking textures. Now available for all modders to try. Could make things very interesting with AI improvements, textures, lighting. It could be a big deal. Not every classic game will be compatible with RTX Remix, though. NVIDIA says it works best with what's called DirectX 8 and 9 games, quote, with fixed function pipelines. That includes an older Call of Duty title, older Hitman title, Gary's Mod, very well-known game in the PC community. Some older, this website actually names Need for Speed Underground 2, which is a game I grew up playing a lot of. So that would be exciting if they could do that. How about Burnout 3? Now, actually, I take that back. I don't think it ever released on PC. If Burnout 3 got a remaster, I would pre-order that unbelievably fast. Fantastic game growing up. But also Need for Speed Underground 2. That was also a great game growing up as well. So, pretty excited. One of the core features is a generative AI tool that uses some parts of the GeForce RTX GPUs to analyze low-resolution textures and, quote, generate physically accurate materials, unquote. It then upscales its resolution up to 4 times. Physically based rendering, so textures can properly react to ray trace lighting. And it also allows modders to incorporate, dynamic superscaling, incorporate ray tracing, an ability to reduce latency, and yeah, actually a pretty impressive set of tools for modders to get into and, to fix up some older titles that don't look pretty now, but could make them pretty now. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. Any huge thing that comes out of this, I will definitely check out because, I grew up playing some of these games and I'd love to give them a second shot, at least for a little bit, with up-to-date technology. Speaking of up-to-date technology, Xbox. They unveiled some new titles here and there, and one of them, pretty big one, they showed off, some games that were previously announced: Avowed, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, Visions of Mana, some release dates, some new gameplay, a new trailer here and there. But here's a big one. Bethesda, the makers behind the legendary Skyrim and the upcoming Elder Scrolls 6 and the recently released Starfield, showed off their first look at Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, a AAA blockbuster-level Indiana Jones title coming to Xbox and PC later this year. Gameplay was shown during Microsoft's Developer Direct event, and it's a little bit of explanation. It's an action-adventure game taking place both first and third person, depending on the scenario, and it takes place between the film's Raiders of the Lost Ark and Todd Howard, the boss of Bethesda, executive producer. No release date, but as someone that's a big fan of Indiana Jones films, I'm pretty excited, and from the trailer I saw, it looks fantastic. It actually looks great. I'm very excited for it, and I'll definitely keep it on my radar for the near future. A little bit last of a VR. That's the end of video games. We're going into VR. And it's some interesting situations with the Apple Vision Pro. It's set to release, I think, February 2nd. Pre-orders have begun around now. And it's not looking great, if not could be better. For context, June 5th last year, Apple announced, aspects of the Apple Vision Pro, including the headset and the OS it'll run, Vision OS. Since then, some details came out, including that iPhone and iPad apps will be available in the Vision Pro App Store by default, which could mean millions or at least hundreds of thousands of available apps. 3D movies looked like they were coming to it, and I think that's since been confirmed. Apple Vision Pro will launch with 3D movies on Disney Plus, which is actually a pretty big deal and makes me wonder why can't the Meta Quest 3 have a Disney Plus app at all? I would love to have 3D movies on Disney Plus. I have Disney Plus. I would love to watch a 3D movie through the same way on my Meta Quest 3 headset. That'd be fantastic. It'd be great. Even if it was a tier up, I'd consider paying. But, some apps that were announced with Vision Pro support include ESPN, not surprising, MLB. Here's the list that I see on the Verge article. ESPN, MLB, PGA Tour, Max, formerly HBO Max, formerly HBO Now, formerly HBO Go. Discovery Plus, Amazon Prime Video, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Pluto TV, Tubi, or not Tubi, Fubo, Crunchyroll, Red Bull TV, IMAX, I don't know what the IMAX app is, TikTok, and Mubi. I don't know what Mubi is. Mubi, like Ubi, the Noggin TV. I'm kidding on that. If you might not have noticed, Netflix was not mentioned. Executives previously said the existing app will work unmodified on Apple's new headset. Since then, a little more came out. Fruit Ninja was shown for the Vision Pro. And here's a kicker. YouTube was also not mentioned, and you won't be able to use the YouTube app on the Vision Pro at all. There's not going to be a native app built for it, and the iPad app will not support the $3,499 headset, $3,500 headset. A YouTube spokesperson says, quote, YouTube users will be able to use YouTube and Safari on the Vision Pro, quote, unquote. That's a big deal, and obviously for many it could be very disappointing. A source familiar with the situation has told Bloomberg Spotify is not planning on creating a new app for the Vision Pro either, and, quote, doesn't expect to enable its iPad app to run on the device, unquote. So you may have to use Spotify and YouTube through Safari, the web browser, on your $3,500 headset. YouTube has a native app for it. Spotify does not. On the Meta Quest 3, YouTube has the app, and it's actually pretty well made. Spotify, there is none. So if I want to listen to some Spotify on my Meta Quest 3, I have to open up the browser and log in and do all of that. So that's obviously annoying, especially because it's an Android device. I should easily be able to sideload Spotify onto it, but I probably could. I never tried it. Don't want to risk anything. But the web browser use has been fine, but I wish it was more integrated, multitasking and whatnot. Maybe one day, Meta Quest 3 has better hardware than the previous versions. But here's the big one. Like I said, Netflix, there will not be a dedicated Netflix app at launch, according to a report from Bloomberg. The streaming giant reportedly doesn't plan to launch an app specifically for the Apple's headset, nor does it want to make its iPad app compatible with the platform. I'm very surprised that developers are able to manually say this will not support the Apple Vision Pro. If it's a genuine reason, like, maybe it has to use the camera or something, even though obviously there's built-in cameras for this, and it involves the iPad app, then the iPad device, then yeah, that makes a little bit of sense. But for Netflix and YouTube and Spotify, it makes genuinely no consumer sense that their iPad apps will not work, or iPhone, or anything like that. So this does mean, because you'll have to watch it through Safari, it will prevent users from watching content offline, and of course limitations on resolution, as video quality on Netflix's web app, which means using it through a web browser, varies by browser. I read somewhere that Safari actually supports up to 4K, and it does to a degree. Safari on an older macOS firmware is up to 1080p. On macOS 11 or later, it's 4K. But this isn't a Mac. It's a Mac level processor, or extremely high end iPad processor, but runs on Vision OS, which if you're able to load iPad apps as easily as you can, it's probably more so Safari on iPhones. this page on Netflix's own page does not specify for. Actually, it doesn't even specify for Android either. It doesn't say for iOS. I guess they just recommend get the app. So I'm curious how that's going to end up. Um, yeah, it's obviously disappointing, but I can imagine there's got to be some reasons we just don't know. Now, that's it for most of the podcast, but of course I ended off with a little bit of optimism, a little bit of niceness, just to look forward into the future for better or worse. And this time I'm going to be focusing on a success with Japan. They did announce that their slim lunar landing was successful, making them the fifth country to reach the moon's surface. They joined Russia, the Soviet Union, US, China, and India or Russia, then the Soviet Union, in reaching the lunar surface. The lunar landing being a success, JAXA's president, who made the slim spacecraft, confirmed they successfully established signals after landing, though its solar capabilities have malfunctioned. The lander was launched September, touchdown a few days ago. And yeah, of course, it's a big deal for Japan. SLIM stands for Smart Lander for Investigating Moon. It's a cargo research mission carrying a variety of scientific payloads, including an analysis camera and a pair of lunar rovers. As becomes more of a big deal to get back to the moon after decades of nothingness. It's always cool that we continue to push ourselves to go back to where we were decades ago, just to show that we can still do it. More attempts to reach the moon are on the way as U.S. companies Intuitive Machines and Firefly are preparing to fly moon landers this year, and China plans to launch another lunar lander in May. And for context, last year, Japanese company iSpace made its first attempt to land on the moon, but its spacecraft crashed in the final moments. Absolutely devastating. And U.S. company Astrobotic got its first moon mission off the ground, but encountered problems shortly after launch. The flight was cut short and failed to make a lunar landing. So, big deal. I got some respect for Japan for accomplishing this, being one of the greats in terms of reaching the moon. And yeah, I hope this continues to push things forward for all countries, that we maybe one day get people back onto the moon and maybe beyond. Who knows? Maybe my lifetime will reach Mars. Do I hope for it? Absolutely. Do I expect it? We'll wait and see. But that'll be it for me. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it for this fantastic episode 25, I think, for The Fresh Wire. If you ever have any comments or maybe some interesting things you want me to talk about, head over to thefreshwire.com. And I just got back into live streaming. I'm hoping for at least once a week, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, where I'm going to be playing Overwatch 2, Apex Legends, maybe some single-player titles here and there. You can check me out on twitch.tv/JSTAR269. That's JSTAR269. Really appreciate it if you head over there, follow. I'm trying to get back to Twitter. Not Twitter. Twitch affiliate. And yeah. Again, I really appreciate everyone that tunes in. And thank you all one last time. And yeah, take care of yourselves. And have a gosh darn good one. Peace.